been one of our favorite parts of spring training each year is our annual sit-down with Logan Gilbert, who I think is one of the best interviews on this team. I don't know whether you ever thought that would be the case, but that has become true over the years. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me. I never really thought about it that way.
Was that a goal of yours to really become a great
I
interviewer?
didn't know it was till you just said it, so I guess so.
Great radio interview.
Is that a weird part of kind of growing into being a big leaguer, is sort of learning how to do media and not just, meeting with the press every day, meeting with idiots like us who come down to talk to you for an extended period of time? How did you go about learning to do that?
Yeah, the first year is kind of weird. And coming from a mid-major college, I didn't have a ton of experience, too. I feel like guys nowadays and SEC, ACC get a little bit of it. But you kind of learn on the fly. And first year is weird. You mess up more than you want to, but eventually you get used to it.
Someone give you advice along the way?
They do a pretty good job here, actually, the media team, and kind of tell us some things that obviously you should not say, but it's better to say it before somebody actually says it on the air. And you listen to people over the years and just, get used to it.
Just kind of more comfortable in your own skin.
They have an actual book of cliches, or do you have to make those up yourself, or is there something you can look at?
You just hear them from other people, write them down, and be sure to use them.
Take it one game at a time.
Tim Heavily passes out note cards.
Yeah,
they study all the note cards every
exactly.
week. Hey, anything new this time around?
Nothing crazy. Pretty similar. Same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Same stuff. Nothing
same
crazy.
Training, same routine, same kind of
all the weird
process.
stuff. Yeah, you'll see the same gadgets and all that kind of stuff.
Nothing new added to it?
I'm pretty similar to last year. I felt like I came into spring in a good spot and timed it up. A lot of it nowadays is trying to be ready for opening weekend and working your way backwards from there, and I think I did a good job last year, so more or less pretty similar to how it was.
Opening weekend.
Yeah, opening weekend.
So that's pretty open-ended about what day it could be on opening weekend. Could be Thursday, could be Friday.
I was sure to say that.
We won't dig too deeply into that because that's out of your hands, right? I mean, you're not going to decide who starts when, but I would assume that's still a goal, right, to be an opening day starter?
Definitely, big goal. I mean, eventually, hopefully in my career, I get to that point. I don't know when it will be, if it's this year or years down the road. I just want the ball at some point. If I get it in the first 5 days, I'm fine because we have 5 number one starters, it feels like. Anybody could be opening day, so we'll be all right either way.
If it were to happen. I total hypothetical. What would that mean to you at this stage of your career?
It's huge just because, all the other guys on our team are very deserving. So just being in category with those guys is it means a lot. But trust coming from the organization too, and them saying that, whoever's 1 or 2 or whatever it is, like, we trust you, we want you to have the ball, and we feel good with our chances that if you have it, we're going to win the game. That says a lot.
Is that a delicate balance with a veteran guy like Luis? Is that something that you and Luis would even ever talk about?
Luis, he's honestly one of the best people I've ever met in baseball, so it's hard to step on his toes, and I've probably done things that I should have just accidentally, but he laughs at everything. He's given me so much good advice over the years. Has one of the best presence about him for baseball, whether it's huge playoff start or just random day. Just an awesome guy. So, no, we haven't talked about anything like that, but he's so laid back.
Give me 2 or 3 things. If as you say there, like, he's done so many things. He said so many things. He's been such a great teammate. You have an anecdote or 2 that really jump out in that regard?
Couple of things, yeah. So the first thing that comes to my mind last year, he bought me that watch for the All-Star game, which says a lot, and just left it in my locker, didn't say a word. It wasn't in front of everybody. He went out on the field, started his warm-up and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't like he didn't even want to know it was him. He just put it in my locker because he thought he wanted to do something nice. So it wasn't about him, anything like that. The other thing, one midweek bullpen, I was just kind of overthinking everything, as I do sometimes.
Say no.
He's right there.
Right.
And he is the opposite, just, Mr. Cool, laid back. So he's watching me and all this stuff. Doesn't say a word till afterwards, and he could tell I'm still thinking about it. And it's so simple and so laid back, but he told me, don't change anything, don't think about anything, and don't try so hard. And those 3 things, I still hold on to him. He probably doesn't even know he said them to me, but he embodies that so well and gave me that, and I still hold on to it.
It's funny. Some guys, when you're, on the outside as we are, it's really hard to get a sense as to who they are inside the clubhouse and around their teammates. Nothing you just said about Luis Castillo surprises me one bit. Just from what the little we get to see, and again, he's not even giving interviews in English, so we get a very small view. that's the exact presence that he exudes just walking around here. That's pretty interesting that he's able to do that.
Yeah, and I would say he's the same every single day, too. It's what you think he is, but it's also there's no off days really with him. It's what you see is what you get, and he's going to be that way all the time. That's what you want from a leader in the clubhouse.
So if he's that leader and that great guy in the rotation, Bryce is obviously on the other side of that. Sorry.
Hey, you talked to him yesterday, so you're the one that said it. I would tell him the same thing.
He fools you, though.
He does.
He got that little fox. Like, he tries to play that Alan Jackson, Texarkana, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. I actually played Alan Jackson yesterday, and I was like, you kind of look like this guy. And he's like, somebody else told me that today. I said, I think it was you guys.
Yeah, it was.
But he knows all the numbers. He knows everything.
He didn't know who we are or remembered who we were, but he knew that
I really thought he and I had a connection. Dang it.
Next year, for sure.
Yeah. Tell me about pitching angry. We talked to Cal. Actually, that interview is not going to air till tomorrow, but we talked to Cal, and he was kind of going through what he likes to say to each pitcher and who he needs to pump up, who he needs to calm down, just sort of the way he manages you guys during a game. And he mentioned that you pitch angry, and we've talked about it before, the whole Walter. Personality. How does that work? How do you pitch angry?
So I think you got to know yourself really well and know what gets you to perform really well. And for me, it's like I have to turn it on before the inning. I don't want to get hit first or, get punched first before you lock it in. And you're like, oh, wait, we're playing a game here. They got 2 guys on or whatever. So for me, if I go out there 200 different times, 200 innings over a year, every single start of the inning, I have to turn it back on. And between innings, I try to really calm myself, my breath work, calm my heart rate, but then when it's go time, you have to get back in that. Cal sees it really well, and he knows all the different personalities. He's not going to just overdo it, but when he sees that you need something, he's not afraid to challenge you or get you in gear.
What do you do, though? I mean, do you have to, think about something that makes you mad? Do you have to...
You put Anthrax on and
is there a music? Or,
hall?
What do you do to get into that zone?
Gosh, I wish I could explain it well, but I probably won't. It's kind of a feel thing for me. It's not like I have an actual cue or anything like that, but a lot of the times when it's the third out or you see guys running off or whatever, your body naturally starts to spike because it's like adrenaline's filling you, all that kind of stuff. I have a couple of things, but I'll keep them close to the chest.
But are they understand? Are they things of slights from your past, people you don't love? I mean, is it that type of stuff?
Oh, not really.
Okay.
Not like something on Twitter somebody said I'm terrible. That's it. I'm going to prove them wrong. No, it's nothing that exact or specific. It's just I'm not waiting to get hit first, that type of thing.
I was on with our show after us. Bump and Stacy do such a great job, and I think it was Stacy asked me, what do you see as far as leadership around the building, and where's that leadership grown? And gosh, I just can't get past Cal. Every time we sit with him, and that position naturally does it, right? It's a little bit like a quarterback. Quarterback looks at everybody. That catcher looks at all of you. You have all your meetings with him. You work so closely with him. How would you characterize Cal's leadership from your perspective?
Yeah, it's great. And I think everybody's starting to see that for sure. It's fun to watch how he's grown over the years. If you think back 3 years ago or whatever, it's like a completely different story for him, for me, everybody. But I think he knows himself really well and kind of established himself in that role where guys trust him. It's not like he's some outsider trying to chirp in and people don't trust him. He's just got banged up enough and proven himself out there. He's not sitting out games, anything like that. People know on the inside what he has played through. That gets a lot of respect from the other people around him. And then he knows the game so well. He's not making stuff up on the fly. When he says something, there's meaning behind it.
Sure seems like when he does play hurt, he doesn't talk about it a lot either. He's not Ben Roethlisberger, let everybody know, hey, man, everybody look at my thumb. I got a big bandage. I mean, it seems like he just does it.
Yeah, for sure. Half the time I don't even know about it till afterwards, and I probably didn't contribute in a helpful way with some of those dirt balls. But, he doesn't like people to know. He's really one of those old-school catcher type of guys that you don't see a ton in the game anymore, but I have a big respect for it.
He told me something off the air, and I don't think he would mind me repeating it because I asked him what advice he would have for a young catcher. I have a friend whose kid is 11, 12 years old and catching. I said, what kind of advice would you give? And he didn't say anything about blocking balls or throwing or eating or working out or any of that. He just said, bring energy. That you got to love to be a catcher, and you got to bring that energy every day. And it's interesting because Cal's not exactly, he's not Victor Robles jumping over hurdles here. And How does he bring energy?
Well, yeah, you nailed it. I think it's the way he's invested every day, because every starting pitcher, every meeting, he treats it like it's his start day. When it's not my start day, he's still doing his thing, but I don't even think about it. I just think of me and him on my start day. He's there every time, and that's the only day of the week that I get to go out there, really. So he cares about it as much as I do. And then the next day he's doing the same thing for somebody else where I'm off for 4 days or whatever it is. He's invested every single time like that's his one day of the week, except he does it every single day.
It's got to be mentally exhausting.
Yeah, for sure.
And physically.
Well, obviously. I mean, that
grind.
part I know, but just hearing that, just thinking about the mental exhaustion of that.
We had fun talking to Bryce about pitch shape and just how, what's gone into when he was in college, just basically fastball slider, and all of a sudden he gets to this level and does all the thing. And been a lot of conversation, Logan, with you about different pitches in your arsenal. Anything new for this season in that regard? Any sharpening of some stuff? or is that a constant?
I'm running out of ideas every offseason. I tried 2 different pitches every offseason. That only works for so long.
Yeah.
Most of the same stuff. What makes me successful is pretty similar. Slider, curve, split. I really didn't tweak those at all. Fastball. I just flipped my cutter grip, but it's basically the same pitch. I was still working on a 2-seam this offseason. It's just tough for my slot, the way my body moves.
Yeah.
Just recently, a few days ago, I've been playing around with a variation of a sinker, but I don't know if it'll make it out of camp. The last 3 years, it hasn't, thanks to Cal. Gets banged in the last week.
Did you know that your arm slot was a little lower last year?
Yeah.
Was that on purpose?
Not really. Not at first a ton. I think my body got more rotational, which I kind of trained that way, but my arm started moving in the slot of your shoulders. When you're moving well, it usually does. But as I'm getting more rotational instead of tilted, this is a higher slot when I'm diagonal shoulders.
Sure.
When I'm level, my arm starts moving more in that plane. I think that's how it kind of dropped, and I just kind of leaned into it.
So it's almost like your arm angle hasn't changed with your shoulder, but your shoulder angle changed.
That's how I like to think if
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I asked Brian this question the other day, and I meant to ask Bryce, and I forgot, but I'm just sort of curious about it. If thinking about the most important stat for a pitcher, if you could improve in one of these categories, what would it be? Is it strikeouts, wins, innings pitched, quality starts, or ERA?
Oh, man. That's a good question.
And they're all great. I mean, it would be awesome to improve in any of those things.
That's a good question.
Is there any of those where you're like, hey, if I could improve in this, it would really help me, the team, whichever?
I think most pitchers would probably say ERA because it's somewhat all-encompassing. But it's so results-based that even though secretly that's the answer, I don't let myself think about that. Innings is a huge thing for me because I think if I'm pitching a ton of innings, I'm probably doing the other things right. Quality starts come with that. Strikeouts in a way, all that kind of stuff. And I think you're doing a service to the team by bullpen arms, them going back-to-back. They don't have to cover 5 innings, different things like that. I think it helps the team a lot.
Just looking at the baseball reference page for Logan Gilbert, Brock, bold. They bold numbers.
He doesn't look at that stuff.
When they're number 1 in the league. And I'm just looking at innings last year.
Yeah.
208.2 in bold.
Wow.
Right? Your innings have gone up every year of your career. Can you throw more than 208 and 2/3 innings?
Can I? I mean, yeah, I definitely can. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of things have to go right. And, I mean, first of all, just staying healthy, that's a huge blessing from God. That's just out of my hands. But a lot of training and then how the innings go. You have 33 starts. There's a lot of luck, good and bad, that goes along with it. So much is out of my control. But I brought up innings just to brag on myself. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not that.
How is Dan's voice different, if at all, from your previous spring training down here?
Oh, it's been really fun to watch so far. It was a tough situation, tough timing last year. Just it was a weird circumstance, I feel like. And this year, I was kind of curious about it. And Dan's top 2 people I've ever met in baseball with AD. Them 2 are unbelievable. But it's just a new role. So this year, I really felt like right out of the gate, just pitchers and catchers camp, it was like, he belonged. He knew his spot. He knew the way he was going to lead us, it felt like, and mentioned a few different pillars and different things like that he wants this team this season to focus on, to be built on. So it's like has this initiative. He has this identity for the team, and we're following him.
I think one of those is 162 battles, right? I think he's kind of been on the record with that we're going to win, just go to battle for 162 of these suckers. What does that mean for a pitcher? What does that mean when you do 1 out of every 5 of those battles?
Yeah.
33 battles.
Yes, it's a big deal, and I try to keep it that way because you look back, I mean, it's frustrating, and we don't love to talk about it all the time, but we're within a game or two for the last however many years that the random Tuesday game in May could be the game that gets us in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And you have to think about it that way, especially as a starting pitcher, that if I get 33 of them and I'm watching 130, when it's my turn to have the ball, we have to win that game. That's how I have to think about it. And Dan's that old school catcher guy too, so I think we just click that way.
What are your parents like?
What are they like? Gosh, my dad kind of thinks like me, I would say, or I think like him. And my mom's very, very selfless person, very caring.
What did they give you along the way for your baseball journey?
So I think of my dad right away. It's been amazing how selfless he is, and he built a mound in the backyard just because I wanted to start pitching and transitioned, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to play in college anymore, and he was kind of pushing me and trying to find a way to do it and helping me talk to college coaches, and just I feel like he navigated part of the road for me.
That's while you were in high school?
When I was in high school, yeah. So and then building the yard. I mean, he learned about pitching. He didn't play baseball really. He was like dirt bikes growing up in Arkansas. So like different world, but I started caring about pitching, and he learned everything that he could, read up everything that he could, so I could learn a little bit more.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So who was it that got you pitching? If it wasn't him, who sort of started you down that road?
My brother. He started pitching before me. He was a couple years older. Played high school. Could have played small college, but chose not to. But I thought I was a hitter. Clearly wasn't good enough in high school. And I thought I would either be done with baseball or transition to be a pitcher like my brother, and worked out.
I've thought about building a mound.
Yeah,
But
for
then,
Titus?
Yeah, but then you could just buy the turf mounds.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little easier now.
Now I think I'm going to do that this offseason, actually. I'm like, I love that mound, but I don't think I'm going to build a mound.
Well, once that arbitration money starts coming in, it's a little
Yeah.
easier to just go out and buy yourself a turf mound and everything like that.
Save a few hours.
I don't mean to use that as a way of transitioning into, the uncomfortable topics of the business of baseball, but everything is on a clock, right, in this game. Well, now everything is actually on a clock, but, your time in the game is on a clock. Your time in a city is on the clock. As you start getting closer to that free agency deadline in a couple years, do you find yourself thinking about what the future holds for you?
It crosses your mind for sure, and year after year, the last couple years at least, your name loosely gets thrown in trade stuff. Half of it has no bearing probably, but that's just how the business goes. I love being here, and I'm not just saying that. I'm sure everybody on a headset would say that, but they've been good to me, and I feel like I've talked to other guys recently that come from other organizations, and they come here and how well we do pitching and how they help you understand yourself to be successful. I could have went to any team, and it could have probably gone really wrong, but I came here, and they helped me and established who I am. So I love being here, and hopefully it stays that way for a long time.
Are you someone, I asked the same question of Cal, are you someone that needs to go to free agency to find out what your value is, or are you comfortable signing a long-term deal before then?
I'm definitely open to it. It has to be the right situation for sure, but I'm definitely open to it. We've had, loose talks, haven't gotten there, but it's been optimistic, I would say. Everybody wants to get to free agency. That's, the gold standard. You want to get there just to see what your market value is, what you're worth. But something could happen before that for sure. And it's long. I'm a Super 2, so I have 7 years before free agency. 7 years is a long time. So it's tough to actually make it to free agency.
I think card 26 in heavily stacked says, "I love it here."
Yeah.
I love it.
That's right.
It's just one of those cliches. You got to get it right.
I looked at it before I came out here.
Yes. I love it here. Logan, this is always one of our favorites.
Seriously, thank you. We do appreciate it.
Thank
Love
you, guys.
sitting down with you. Just love getting your perspective on the game. And it was pretty cool pitching in the All-Star, or being an All-Star last year, right?
Yeah, awesome. Hopefully more of that.
Who'd you hang out with while you were there? Who'd you get to meet?
Some of the other pitchers. Crochet was a really good guy, super talented. Reagan's. Talked to Scuba a little bit. Just fun being around those guys.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate
All
it.
right,
Good
guys.
luck this year. We'll talk again.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for watching us at Spring Training. If you want more of this kind of content, it's pretty easy. Just subscribe.
Yep, and you can always download the app. I think he tells you that every once in a while. You can download the Seattle Sports app as well.